So anybody that's tuning in right now, Sam and I started this last week. It was kind of our impromptu live session, and we went live and basically just took questions, talked about our life, talked about any of the questions that people had to ask, and it was kind of like our way of kicking off our Be Better Life live sessions. We're calling this One Wine Truth because you need a glass of wine. It might turn into more than one wine, but we'll see about that.
It's deliberately one wine because we don't know if it's one glass, one bottle, or just me whining for this entire life. So hopefully it doesn't turn into that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of our premise. It's meant to be a fun kind of day with us. So a little bit of a background on the Be Better Life. What our goals and our aspirations are with it is basically to help all of the people that kind of we care about and that might not have all of the resources at hand, but want to either make an idea into something awesome or just, want some advice on how to live a better life. That is what we're here for, and that is what we love to do.
Yeah, so we are live on Facebook and Instagram at the same time. This is kind of a weird new thing that we're trying out. So if it looks like we have 12 different things going on, it's because we do. I think this is pretty indicative of our actual lives. Like we always have like 12 different things going on. So right now we got to do both the live streams at the same time.
But we're going to be talking about goals, setting smart goals, making sure that those goals are, everything from crazy and audacious to actually turning them into attainable. We're also going to talk about the power of saying yes to things and also the downfall of saying yes to things. So we're going to touch on both sides of that. And then what my favorite topic is right now is we're going to talk about speaking things into existence. So we like to do that a lot. Basically, we say something completely random, and then it's kind of funny how life provides that option to us. So we'll kind of be talking about all of those things today.
What would you say is one of your goals right now? It can be about anything, whether it's a personal goal, a career goal.
I have a life goal.
Life goal. Life goals are great.
So I always try to make sure that whatever my goal is, it fits into all of those buckets. Because if I have a goal, it's not necessarily going to be like make, X amount of dollars by this day, but it'll be like my goal is to help people. So okay. I want to make sure that every bit of my life is contributing to helping more people. Whether that's through sport, through cheerleading, through our work endeavors, through this, it allows us the opportunity to help more people. So right now, that's kind of my goal theme of right now.
Yeah, I do like the idea of themes more than goals because I feel like once you frame a theme that you want to follow, you can actually obtain your goal, but it may not be specifically how you planned it out. It may not look exactly like what you can picture in your mind because once you've actually created the theme and you're following that theme, then, life has a way of presenting stuff to you that may not necessarily be something that you're used to. It might be something completely different. So my sort of goal theme right now, sort of related to the helping people, is this actually. I want to do more speaking. So whether it's like, being the keynote speaker at a conference or something like that, or, getting in front of groups and talking to people, helping them ask the right questions about themselves so that they can figure out what their truths are, what their goals are. That's really what the theme around what I want to do is. It's really great that we're doing this live today because I had probably one of the best calls that I've had in a while with a friend I hadn't spoken to in a very long time. And it was one of those calls like we really didn't have an agenda for what we wanted to speak about, but I just wanted to catch up and see like where he was in his life, what he's doing, sort of what he's working on. And I don't want to say too much about what he's doing because he's just starting out with something new. I don't know what his capacity is to take on more people, but he's also coaching people, and he's got a very interesting way of sort of looking at life and looking at the way that he structures helping people. So yeah, we riffed for a very, very long time. We were going for about an hour, almost an hour and a half. Yeah, almost an hour and a half, just talking about life and the opportunities it presents and some of the problems that people are facing and some of the things that you're learning through coaching other people. And I think one of the most interesting things was one of the realizations that he was making is that, like, no matter what the people's background, whether they're, CEO of a company or they're a student, or wherever they are in their life, a lot of the problems that people are starting to face kind of boil down to the same themes. And one of the things that we talked about today was communication and how that is the key to solving a lot of the problems that people feel that they have, like some of the roadblocks and some of the things that they think are holding them back. It really boils down to being able to communicate
articulate those feelings. So it's not necessarily being able to share that with somebody, but it's being able to identify your own thoughts and kind of what they mean. His call this morning, it's a theme that's been definitely coming up a lot in our lives with talks about intuition, as well as kind of the more, how do I want to say it?
Well, I think first thing when you mention intuition, there's the gender aspect to it, like some things being more feminine, some things being more masculine. Intuition being seen as like one of the
more feminine traits.
Yeah, definitely
so
more feminine traits, and being in touch with that.
So kind of coming back to this, so the concept kind of that we've been playing with has been that intuitively, I'm very gifted at kind of seeing something before it happens, or having that gut feeling that I know that I don't ever want to ignore. It's not fact-based. It's not something that I can prepare for. It's like, this is kind of happening, and how do we, I can kind of sense that it's going to happen and don't really know why. Whereas, this guy, on the other hand, is all facts-based and very logical. So coming to him and being like, so we can't do this. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, you see, this is what's going to happen. And he's like, I don't know, this is X, Y, Z. It's probably not going to happen. Fast forward 6 months, it happens. And he's like, should have trusted that. So not everybody has that. Women are traditionally more intuitive, not for the fact that men aren't intuitive, just that it is considered a more feminine trait. So women are taught more to kind of hone in on that and focus on it, because it's a lot of our fight or flight, safety, kind of gut feelings that we've always associated to and why they're important. Whereas men are more structured on the facts and kind of leave it at that. When we're talking about kind of the idea of coaching and the idea of bringing people together, this conversation comes into play a lot, because oftentimes people know that they need something, but is that something that you're providing? Is it something else? There's no real way to know if the product's going to work for you until you do it. But part of the intuition side of that is kind of seen as less factual. I kind of relate it to being my superpower. It's been my Kanye West vibe is you take the thing that people might not think normal and consider it your superpower. A lot of intuition is based around anxieties and fear. And a lot of times when people are excited to make a change or do something that could have a big impact, it's very natural for those anxieties and fears to kind of go hand in hand. So for us, it's welcoming that anxiety and fear and welcoming those moments to be intuitive, because it's led us to some of the best things that we've come across together, I think.
Yeah, I think to kind of put that in context, we've made a lot of really big changes in our lives recently, such as moving across the country, which is something that we talked about. We talked about last week. A lot of people would say that's a very scary situation, but when the offer was presented to us, we were already prepared mentally to do something like that. So listening to our gut feeling, which was like, yeah, we should probably take this. It'll be a good experience. Was an easy. I would say it was an easy decision.
Yeah, a whole lot of motivational speakers and people out there that are like the power of yes, say yes to everything. Am I recommending you do that? Absolutely not. Do not do that, because there are a lot of things that you need to look somebody boldly in the face and say absolutely not to. And I'm the first to admit I am not good at letting people down or saying no to things. I'm like, how can I help? What can we do? So it's super important that you find that balance and know that sometimes it is totally okay to just be like, not today. Not today. It's not going to happen. Not tomorrow. Trust your intuition. Trust the facts. Trust, fine. If you're somebody who's super intuitive and not looking at the logical side, do the due diligence of doing both. But it is super important to make sure that you are set up that you can say yes to anything, but you are making the kind of conscious decision on when the right time to do that is. That's my public service announcement, because I feel like a lot of people out there are leading you astray that having a yes life is the right answer. I'm not saying that it's not, but it will probably not be the most healthy mentally.
Yeah, just to kind of add on to what you're saying, if you want big things to happen in your life, you got to be able to say yes when those opportunities present themselves. If you want to make a lot of money at your job and there's a promotion that you could get, if that job is available, you got to be in a position in your life where you can say yes. Maybe that job involves more travel, maybe it involves changing up your schedule. If you're not in a place mentally where you feel prepared to make those kind of changes in your life, then you're gonna miss out on the opportunities when they present themselves.
I think it's really important to also share a little bit of our background on this. Is we know that we are kind of privileged in this aspect. We aren't married. We don't have kids. We didn't have a mortgage. We didn't have real roots tying us down. So when we got the opportunity to move across the country, we left in 4 days. We said, yep, we're gone. Let's figure it out. Is that probably the best, the most logical option? Probably not. But it is definitely something that we were privileged to do. And we've made sure that kind of we were set up that our rent was in month to month. And
right.
The short-term decisions might be affected, it definitely long-term gave us the freedom to kind of accomplish whatever we needed to.
The balance came up in the sense of how do you balance sort of being open and being receptive and learning new things and changing with the more logical, sharp, straightforward, to the point, put your head down and grind type stuff in life. And I think a lot of people out there are looking for some sort of with the term they call work-life balance. And my answer to that is I don't really think there is such thing as a work-life balance. I think whatever you want to do, there's going to be seasons for it. So sometimes we want to build our business. Sometimes we want to do a new venture. We're sitting down and we're looking at the Be Better Life right now, and we're making that a priority. It doesn't necessarily give us the same opportunity to, sit down and work hard at, building something else at that time. You have to make choices. And I think the balance comes in the sense of, taking time to make the decision to do one thing versus another thing. And that comes and goes in seasons. Sometimes you want to work. sometimes you want to play. And you can't have all that time off and play if you don't put in the work at first, you know? So,
I think a big important thing for us too is we always get asked the questions of how do we not get burnt out? How are we able to keep going at such a high pace all the time? And it's for us, like, we kind of laugh at that question because obviously there's times that we're burnt out, there's times we're tired, but it's so much of our time is spent doing things that we actually love that it's so easy to just be in love with what we're doing.
mhm.
So we, we work at a cheerleading gym, so we get to like be with the kids and teaching new skills and seeing that love for the sport kind of curated in Small Humans, which is one of our favorite things to do.
Yeah.
We get to help and work with programs like the Be Better Life, where we get to help people kind of create the future that they want for themselves. And then we also run Sharp Performance Consulting and Spirit FX Canada that allow us to just work our passions. We get to help performance business owners, and then we get to do choreography. So we're very blessed that the things that we choose to work hard at are all things that we love. And we're the biggest advocates for, if what you're doing doesn't make you healthy, happy, and make enough money, don't do it. And sometimes you're not going to get, almost never you're going to get all three. So trying to make sure that whatever two that you get are worth it enough to kind of subsidize the third.
Yeah.
So you're not going to always be the highest paid. You're not always going to, be able to like be the healthiest, where you get that spa day self-care that everybody talks about, but to us isn't always a priority. So we like to kind of make sure that what we're doing allows for that, and we kind of go from there.
Should answer the question of kind of what we plan on doing with the Be Better Life. A lot of people are following us. They're trying to figure out our story, and I really appreciate everybody that's followed us so far and who tunes into the lives, and that definitely means a lot because this is something new that we're trying. We're basically using this as a communication platform for us to share kind of our journey through life, through relationship, through career, through just being a millennial. I got some really good questions and comments last week about just being a millennial right now and trying to figure out what you're supposed to do with your life. And I think it's really important that we have these conversations and that we make them public, because I don't know if a lot of people are talking about this. I feel like a lot of people have fears and anxieties about things, what they're going to do for work, how are they going to be able to afford to live in the places that they want to live. Like, we've lived in Toronto and Vancouver, literally the two most expensive places to live in Canada. They're both up there in North America as well. So a lot of people have anxieties about those things, and I don't think we're talking about them enough. So this is just our platform where we're creating a space where we can help coach people through the things that we've seen and experienced through our life. Because it's really important. It's really important that we take care of each other.
So in the future, you'll be able to do things like participate in courses. Hopefully, this is again us speaking it out into the universe.
Yeah.
We're hoping to plan sort of masterminds, as well as personal coaching retreats. The next kind of biggest thing that we want is we'll be doing a lot of one-on-one coaching. So if you've got kind of hurdles that approach you on your journey, we want to be able to help you with those things. But for now, it's strictly using us as a resource. We want to be here as someone who you guys can count on for help and advice, and learning a little bit through our mistakes and our roadblocks, because we're not perfect. We own all of those adventures, and it's just kind of the adventure that we're on right now.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that we are not perfect. That's why it's called the Be Better Life. Uh, because we recognize that we're not perfect, that's the first step that we can take in, making ourselves better. What would you say is the important difference between goals and expectations?
The differences?
Yeah, like what's the difference between setting goals and setting expectations, or dealing with goals versus dealing with
I
expectations?
think a lot of people are very confused when they're trying to differentiate. English is hard. When they're trying to separate them, but I think an expectation is linked to your personal value and like what your morals are, whereas a goal is somewhere you're trying to get to. So I think a lot of times people are trying to like set goals and trying to set, places that they want to get to and grow to, but they confuse them with their expectations, or they treat them the same way. Something that you believe is your moral expectation is yes or no. There's no middle ground. There's no maybe I should do this, and there's zero gray area, or there shouldn't be gray area in your expectations. But in your goals, you're going to have different paths to get there. So sometimes you're going to be like, didn't love that, but did I get closer to the goal? Maybe, like there's going to be different ways that you're going to try and achieve that. And I think that if your goal is also part of your your expectations, you're going to be less likely to succeed. I don't know if that made any sense, but in my head it made sense.
Yeah, I think the major component there is like your goal has to be something that you desire to do. It can't be, you can't like force a goal on somebody.
Correct. Yeah. Whereas like I could say that an expectation is to, like my expectations I said earlier were if it doesn't make me happy, healthy, or make money, then I don't want it. And whereas like when I'm thinking of my goals, I'm going to want to have those things. Like I want to have my expectations, but my goal shouldn't be money.
Right.
Because if that's my goal and my expectation, it's either not hard enough of a goal or it's never attainable.
Yeah, it's like what happens if you miss that goal? Like
then your whole life is
I expect to make $1 million off of this thing that I'm building right now, and you don't.
If it's linked to your expectations, then there's a lot more emotional turmoil by not meeting that goal. Do I think it's important to have your expectations in mind when you're making goals? Yes. But do I think they should be the same? No. If that makes sense. Like, I know that's a little bit kind of meta and the way that it brings along, but I think it's super important that when we're like, if I'm trying to, set a goal of public speaking, you said was one of your goals earlier. You wanted to, speak at some conferences, do stuff like that. If that's your goal and it makes you happy, you're healthy when you're, living your passion and you're performing and you get paid, then it meets your like expectations.
Right.
But the goal isn't make money, so I'm going to do public speaking.
Right.
That's sense.
A terrible way of looking.
Does that make sense though? Like that's how I kind of think they make sense.
Cool.
All right, we're gonna give you guys another couple minutes.
We've been going pretty long.
And we're gonna sign off in 6 minutes. So unless we've got some awesome comments going, we are gonna find a way to sort of wrap it up. But yeah, so I think part of I don't know what just happened where we got all of the likes, loves, laughs. But yeah.
Nice and I'm gonna send snaps of
love. Oh, you're giving yourself love?
Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, I think it's important. Make sure that you're setting goals that are attainable. Make sure that your goals or your expectations support your goals. they are not the same. That's my like summary of that brand.
Mm-hmm. Kind of rap. I'm not gonna rap. I don't rap.
Please don't rap.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of truth. That's a big truth.
I know. We'll end on some deep stuff.
Yeah, I think we're too deep.
Yeah.
Too deep right now, so we gotta get out. This is a lot of fun. Thank you for everybody that came through, ask some questions. If you have any more questions, like feel free to like message us through the page. Hit us up on Instagram. I think Instagram is probably like the one place where we have like
I'm gonna say it right now,
engagement.
really loud and exciting. By our next live, there will be a website. So that is my goal that I need to achieve by next Monday is the Be Better Life website, thebetterlife.com will be live by Monday.
Yep.
Where we have our next live video. So if you have questions that are coming up about that and you want them answered in future lives, feel free to comment on this video. We will pull up the questions and answer them in our next one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thank you guys so much. And we hope that you live a Be Better Life.
Cheers.
Bye.